Hi everyone. Hope you all are good. We are here for grade 7 math. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab. There you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter Transformations and Congruence. The lessons we're going to cover today are reflections, graph the image, rotation graph, rotation, find the coordinates, similar and congruent figures, congruent statements and corresponding parts. There you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and mm, definitions as well. Here I'm on grade 7 math. Let's just start with the lesson that is reflection, find the coordinate. The point B, -2, -4 is reflected over the y-axis. What are the coordinates of the resulting B dash? So here is the point B. Point B is reflected over the y-axis. So just look at this red line. That is red so that you can see that is the y-axis, right? Hold on. The reflected point would be at the here at this position, right? The coordinates of the reflected points are 2 and -4 because that would be reflected along the y-axis, right? So the x value is positive now and y value is negative. Because you have same y, just x is changed, right? We're working on grade 7 math. Chapter we're working on is congruence and symmetry and congruence. The lesson we are on right now is reflection, find the coordinates. The point B, -2, -4, is reflected over the y-axis. What are the coordinates of the resulting point B dash? I think that's the one we just did on the tutorial. Here is point B, right? That would be reflected over the y-axis. Yes, that is grade 7 math. The chapter name is Transformations and Congruence. Here you can see. Okay, so that would be reflected of the over the y-axis, right? The red one that is highlighted, that is the y-axis. So if that would be reflected over the y-axis, that is exactly the same distance from here to here. Here is the reflected point, right? The coordinates of the reflected point are x is 2, y is -4. So because that is reflected over the y-axis, just the x coordinate, the sign of the x coordinate is changed, y coordinate is exactly same, right? So let's just, because I'm still tutorial, I thought on the test. The point V, 3 is reflected over the y-axis. What are the coordinates of the point? So it would be reflected over the y-axis. You have the same distance from x and same distance on y, but on the opposite side of the y-axis, right? So when, because you are, the point is reflected over the y-axis, just the sign of the x coordinate is changed. The y coordinate is exactly same, right? Here you can see the x is positive. That is the x coordinate. The first coordinate is always the x value that is positive. So now when that is reflected over the y-axis, the new coordinates you can see -3 and 3. Option number 2 is the correct option. Got it? Option number 2 is the correct option. The point E, -4 and 2, is reflected over the x-axis. What are the coordinates of the resulting point? So E is the point that is reflected over the x-axis. So you have the same distance on x-axis and same on y-axis. So just the y x coordinate is same, the sign of the y coordinate is changed. That is E -4 and -2. Option number 1 is the correct option. The point L negative 6, 2 is reflected over the y-axis. What are the coordinates of the resulting point L dash? So that is reflected over the y-axis. So the new coordinates are exactly on the opposite of the y-axis. The distance from x and y coordinates are exactly the same, right? So then the new coordinates are, because that is reflected over the y-axis, the sign of the x coordinate is changed, right? So that is 6 and 2. Option number 2 is the correct option. The correct option is option number 2, that is 6 and 2. Option number 2 is the correct option. The point S5 negative 1 is reflected over the y-axis. What are the coordinates of the resulting point? So which is the correct option? The correct option is option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. Okay, the next lesson is reflections. Graph the image. Let's just start with the lesson. That is just a tutorial, but let's just go through the lesson. Graph the image of J. The coordinates are 6 and negative 9. After a reflection over the x-axis, okay, the point is 6 and negative 9, right? X is 6, y is negative 9. Here is the point. You have to find a reflection over the x-axis. So the highlighted one is the x-axis. That is exactly the same distance from x and y coordinate, but on the opposite side of x-axis. You need to find a new coordinate. So the new coordinates are, that is reflected over the x-axis. So the sign of y coordinate is changed. That is 6 and 9, right? The correct option is 6 and 9. One, if a point is reflected over the x-axis, just the sign of y coordinate is changed, right? And if that is reflected over the y-axis, just the sign of the x coordinate is changed, right? See here you have the one before reflection is negative y. Now that is positive, right? Graph the image M negative 5 negative line after the reflection over the x-axis. So which is the correct option? So the reflected point is because that is the reflection over the x axis, so that means just the value of the y coordinate is changed, right? The point is -5 and -9. That would be reflected, and the reflected point is over here. That is now the coordinates of the new points are -5 and 9. That is -5 and 9. Graph the image of n -9 -5 after a reflection over the x-axis. So what are the new coordinates? The new coordinates are -9 and 5. That is -9 and 5, right? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. But this lesson don't have the practice questions, right? You can find the lesson in your book and do as many practice questions as you can. Let's just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is rotation graph the image. Graph the image of Q6 -2 after a rotation of 270-degree clockwise around the origin. So here is the point 2, right? You have to rotate the image along the 270 degrees. So 270 degrees means that is 3/4 of a full turn, right? So if you start from here, the 3/4 turn would be completed over the here, right? So 270-degree clockwise is same as 90-degree. 270-degree counterclockwise is same as 90-degree clockwise. So you can think of rotation as 1/4 of a full turn. So the 1/4 of the full turn, if you start from here, that would be at the here. So start with the point 6 and -2. So when you rotate the point 270-degree clock counterclockwise around the origin, the point will move from quadrant 4 to quadrant 3. To find the exact location, imagine 0, 0 and Q forming opposite corners of a box. Rotate the box keeping the 0 corner fixed. So you just have to rotate the point like this. Just start from here and rotate like here. So the new coordinates are -2 and -6. That is -2 and -6. So 3/4 count the rotation 270-degree counterclockwise same as the rotation 90-degree clockwise, just in the opposite direction, right? Okay, the next example is graph the image f1 -2 after a rotation 180-degree clockwise around the origin. So here is the point f1 -2. A rotation turns a figure around a fixed point. 180 degree is the half full turn. The rotation will turn the point 1/2 of a full turn in the clockwise direction. Half of a full turn. Start with a point 1 -2. Rotate the point 180 degree clockwise around the origin. The point will move from quadrant 4. The point from here to here, that is in quadrant 2 now. So to find the exact location, imagine 0, 0 and F forming opposite corners of the box. So start from here and move it to the other side. So it would be now -1 and 2. The new coordinates are -1 and 2. That is -1 and 2. The rotated coordinates of the new points are -1 and -2. Got it? Just look at the third example. Graph the image K -10 4 after rotation 180 degree clockwise around the origin. So that is 180 degree. That means the half turn it is clockwise turn. 180 degree is half turn of a full turn. The rotation will turn the point half of a full turn in the clockwise direction. Start with a point -10 and -4. Rotate the point 180 degree clockwise around the origin. The point will move from quadrant 3 to quadrant 1. To find the exact location, imagine 0, 0 and K forming opposite corners of a box. Rotate the box keeping the corner 0, 0 corner fixed. So start from this point and rotate it from here this point. That is 10 and 4. So the new coordinates are the new coordinates are 10 and 4. The new coordinates are 10 and 4. So we have just the tutorial. For this lesson, you can find the practice questions in your book and do as many practice questions as you can, right? Let's just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is rotation, find the coordinates. The point B35 is rotated 270 degree counterclockwise around the origin. What are the coordinates of the resulting point B there? That is 270 degree counterclockwise. So 270 degree counterclockwise is same as 90 degree clockwise. That is exactly same as 90 degree clockwise, right? So you have to start with the point 35. Here is the point 35 and imagine the center 0, 0 and mhm, 0, 0 and B forming opposite corners of a box. Rotate the box keeping the 0, 0 corner fixed. So if this point is fixed, you move it from here to here. So now the new coordinates are 3 and 4. The correct option is the correct 5 and -3. The new coordinates are 5 and -3. Let's just start with the test questions. The point 15 is rotated 90 degree clockwise around the origin. What are the coordinates of the resulting point R dash? So here is the point R. So that is a rotation 90-degree clockwise. One and five, right? 90 degrees, so it would be from quadrant 1 to quadrant 2. Keeping this point fixed, when you rotate this point, it would be now here. So the new coordinates are, it would be now here. So the new coordinates are 5 and -1. Option number 2 is the correct option. That is option number 2 is the correct option. The point G is rotated 180-degree clockwise around the origin. What are the coordinates of the resulting point G dash? That is G, you have to rotate 180-degree clockwise. So it would be in the fourth quadrant, right? So keeping the point 0, 0 fixed, if you rotate this point 180-degree, so it would be here. The new coordinates are 2 and -5. Option number 2 is the correct option. They are 2 and -5. Option number 2 is the correct option. The point D51 is rotated 180-degree counterclockwise around the origin. What are the coordinates of the resulting point D dash? The correct option is option number 1, that is -5 and -1. The new coordinates are -5 and -1. The point K negative 4 is rotated 180-degree counterclockwise around the origin. What are the coordinates of the resulting point K? The correct option is option number 1 is the correct option. They are 4 and 4. The coordinates of the rotated points are 4 and 4. The point -3, -6 is rotated 90-degree clockwise around the origin. What are the coordinates of the resulting point P dash? So, which is the correct option? The correct option is option number 1, that is -6 and 6. The point P -3, -6 is rotated. Oh, that is -6 and 3. Option number 2 is the correct option. The point B3, 5 is rotated 270-degree counterclockwise around the origin. What are the coordinates of the resulting point B dash? The new coordinates are -5 and -3. Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, so we were working on grade 7 math. Chapter we were working on is congruence and transformations and congruence. The lessons we have covered today are reflections, find the coordinates, reflections, graph the image, rotations, graph the image, and rotations, find the coordinates. So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we just did. That is your homework until next session. So if you need more help with any of the lesson, you can simply click on the live chat button. Tutors are available there to help you, or either you can write down the questions in the chat box. I'm here to answer all your questions and confusions if you have any. So you can please ask questions if you have any. Any questions? Okay, then that's all for today.